Hey y'all, this is just going to be a quick before shot of the suspension setup. Right now I have Radflos shocks with 700-pound springs up in the front, and then Radflos shocks in the rear with the Dobinsons C59 325 springs in the rear. So yeah, I'm going to be changing out the fronts to the Dobinsons MRA setup. They have the C59 354 springs in the front, and then the rears are just going to be moved up to C59 327s. So I don't really have problems with the shocks. They're good. I have no complaints from with Radflos. They could use a rebuild. They are getting a little bit softer, but it also could just be my alignment and that it was extra windy driving where I needed to be yesterday. Yeah, just wanted to show a quick before setup. Well, I haven't taken this off in about 30,000 plus miles. Let's see. The bushings are cracked up here, or washer spacers. I'm not really sure what to call those, but uniball is still pretty tight, so that's good. I tried to keep these clean as best as I could, so I guess I'm not too surprised that there's no play in them. It still takes a little bit of force to move the uniball around, or spherical bearing. One of the two or same thing, something like that. It is a little bit, not sure whether to call that rust or not, but self-note, the longer spacer is in the front, the shorter one is in the rear, so I believe that's to push the shock away from the sway bar still, even though that you have these sway bar brackets. Alright, that was cool. Remove the Radflos shocks. Have the passenger's Dobinsons spring and shock, or whatever, coilover next to each other right there. The Radflos shocks, they're in pretty good condition. The what's it called? It takes a bit of force to actually move the spherical bearing, so overall they did good for 30 to 40,000 miles. I put them on in 2019. The only thing that I've noticed is the bushings here is cracked. Can't really see that too well, but Just a little bit. But it's just wear and tear. It's nothing major. So. Okay, so as you probably saw me struggling in the video, I couldn't get this bottom eyelet into here. And I remember DirtKing specifically saying that the uniball option, it doesn't fit OEM eyelets, I think. So luckily I kept my stock lowers. I'm just gonna go ahead and put those back on and be happy with it. Since these are already loosened anyway, I don't care. Eventually I'll have to rebuild these anyway, but I don't know, maybe I'll sell these. We'll see. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, so a bit of an update. I went ahead and installed the driver's side because I was getting super frustrated just from a lot of things, but I just have to mount the reservoir. And yeah, I've taken the time to get rid of all the rust on the inside, put anti-seize on it, on the old one anyway. Yeah. And yeah, it's I don't know, hopefully everything goes smoothly with this because I'm getting frustrated. You gotta be kidding me. Okay. Drop it? Yeah, you can drop it, yeah. All the way, you can just, yeah. I think that's it. Thanks. Take care of that. Take care? It takes care of me. Hello, lady. They should have supported the axle. Well, I've tried prying it out. I've tried using a mallet on the lower end. Tried some heat, Still nothing, so we're just gonna go ahead and buy a puller. So yeah. In other news, my welds still seem to be holding up fine, so that's cool. Well, after all that work, we ended up using rib nuts for that, thanks to my dad and his tool. But with the suspension articulating, it rubs into the reservoir, and I was afraid of that because it was a little bit close. Okay, so like I said, I'm having to relocate the reservoir because the tire makes contact with it. And Mike from Exit Off-Road showed me a picture, and it's relocated a little bit farther back, and I had to remove the bumper cover just for convenience for me. I don't know if they actually did it or not, but yeah, I'm having to fish a bolt through the inside, or not fish, but I'm having to put a bolt through the inside with a magnet. You'll see here in a second. Makes it far easier, so that way it'll just be easier to tighten the nut. Okay. Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. All right. She's finally finished. My dad was cool and made this cover for me. It covers up the alternator on the other side too, so that's awesome. Yeah, there you go. y'all, so here it is. It's all finished. I've been driving on it, the fronts for about 300 miles now, the rear about 90 miles now, and the whole ride is just, it's like new again. And I could never remember what stock felt like, and it has a stock-like ride to it. And even with all the additions that I've added to it, it feels good, but better. And the springs are doing a really good job of holding everything up. I have the C59 354 springs up front, and I have the C59 327 springs in the rear. The rears are good for about 200 to 400 pounds of weight, and the fronts, I'm not sure, but it's the heavy capacity, and they're rated at 730 pound spring rate. In my old Radflos, they were a 700 pound spring rate, and I'm finding out that valving is a major factor here. And I was always wondering if my springs were too stiff, but I mean, these springs are rated at 30 pounds more than my Radflo springs, iBox springs. And man, the ride just, like I said, I just can't say enough good things about it. Highway, it feels good. Off-road, I'll get to test that out at Jambo this weekend, so I'm very excited for that. So yeah, big thanks to Mike at Exit Off-Road for being able to answer all my repetitive questions, getting back to me really quickly. I thought, I had a feeling that I got the wrong rear shocks because I didn't get the mount that looked like it was in the picture in the instructions, and the hose that I got was a lot longer, but I figured I'd adapt to it. But Mike answered me the next day, and yeah, he sent me some pictures, and yeah, so new setup performs flawless. I love it. I love the adjustability of the reservoir knobs. I always told myself that I wouldn't ever want or need reservoirs because I didn't want the hassle of it. But honestly, I don't think I can ever go back to not having this type of adjustability. And I want to say that these are my forever shocks. So the fact that you can have them rebuilt, you know, I'll probably send them in for a rebuild back to them if ever I need to. But Mike said that there's no set to rebuild time, so that's neat. And I figure if I do feel a bit of harshness or anything like that, softness, I can just adjust the reservoir, so that's neat. I was going to look into the Fox 2.5s with the DSC adjusters, but the price point was it was a lot more. And I like that these Dobinson shocks utilize the OEM bushings or bushings in general. So I just got tired of having to maintain spherical bearings. You know, after going through mud, I'd always be thinking about, oh man, you know, like mud's in the spherical bearings, I'm gonna have to replace those eventually. Whereas these, you know, I don't have to worry about it as much, so that's awesome for that. I did get the purple collars on there. I requested that to Mike. It just adds a little bit of a look to it. I like it, so can't really tell much, but yeah, you can see it eventually a little bit. But yeah. Alright, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully it helped you out if you ever feel like doing your lift yourself or anything like that. But yeah, thanks again for watching. hope it helped you out, and I'll try to make a updated video at Jambo. So yeah, have a good day, y'all.